All right, we're in the final section of part one, and this is secret societies. And I'm going to introduce you to Freemasonry, Theosophy, Jesuitism, and Catholicism, and understand those interrelationships in the whole scheme of things. But before we do, we're going to go into the Bible and show you clearly what the Bible says about sun worship. This is in Ezekiel 8. 5 to 17. I encourage you, whether or not you believe or not, to go into this passage and understand what it's saying. So this is a prophet, Ezekiel, and God is telling this prophet that the house of Israel is, in a sense, worshiping the wrong God, which is having their faces toward the east and sun worship. So fundamentally, the Bible tells you what is true worship and what is not true worship, and it is clear that what they're trying to push on you with regard to zeitgeist and things like this, astrotheology, to say that Jesus and God are nothing other than sun worship. Well, this is a proof text to show you that that's not the case. So this prophet goes in, and behold, northward at the gate of the altar, this image of jealousy at the entry, meaning provoking this God to jealousy. He loves us, and it's a good jealousy that he wants. In contrast, the Hindu God is a non-jealous God, because all worship of those deities, those millions of deities, are aspects of that one God. Therefore, he's not a jealous God. But in this case, it is a good jealousy that our God has. He wants us for him, and therefore he loves us and wants to show that to us. So we have to understand that wisdom in understanding what jealousy is on that aspect. And behold, every form of creeping thing. So let me read this from here. Then said he unto me, Son of man, dig now in the wall. And this is underneath the temple where the true worship was going on in Solomon's temple, and underground they were doing all this in secret. So this is now a reference to secret societies and how they do things completely in secret. So then said he unto me, Son of man, dig now in the wall. And when he had digged in the wall, behold, a door. And he said unto me, Go in, and behold the wicked abominations that they do here. So I went in and saw, and behold, every form of creeping thing. There's all these beasts and things, and abominable beasts, and all the idols of the house of Israel portrayed upon the wall round about. So it is a story. This story that is God choosing a people is a story of them also falling away from God. So this is another proof of that the Bible is just grossly accurate as far as just showing you what they're doing. Usually when you have a text that regards yourself, you want to put yourself into a good light. This is calling out people for who they are, and it's clear in the Bible that the house of Israel has always fallen away from him, and there is a plan for them in the ages, and we'll get into that in the next section. Again, so now, and behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz. Tammuz is a reference to Nimrod from Babylon, Semiramis his wife, and Tammuz the sun. And we see this correlated into Isis, Osiris, and Horus, or Osiris is the male, Isis is the female, and the sun. And please don't in any way equate this to what you think is Jesus, Mary, and the Father, Mary, and Jesus, because you can see there is a counterfeit going on. I want to explain that counterfeit. Mary has nothing to do with worship and should not be worshipped. So that's what Catholicism wants to bring in, is that satanic trinity, and that's not the case with regard to Christianity, true Christianity. And behold, at the temple of the Lord, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men, with their backs toward the temple of the Lord, and their faces toward the east, and they worshipped the sun toward the east. Now look at this. Is it a light thing to the house of Judah that they commit the abominations which they commit here? Meaning sun worship is an abomination. For they have filled the land with violence, and have returned to provoke me to anger. So this God that we have, the creator of the universe, is going to be angry, and has been dealing with his chosen people. And so this is, I hope you understand what's going on. In Luke 8:16 to 17, no man, when he hath lighted a candle, covereth it with a vessel, or putteth it under a bed, but setteth it on a candlestick, that they which enter in may see the light. For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad. And so understanding that our Lord and Savior, my Lord and Savior Jesus, is really about openness, and this is open and free rather than secret, in secret. John 18:20. This is key. Jesus answered him, I spake openly to the world. I ever taught in the synagogue and in the temple, whether the Jews always resort, and in secret have I said nothing. And please understand that this Bible is an open book to the world, and these people that you're about to see in secret societies, they're all about doing things in secret. And this is the fundamental difference of their religion as opposed to the religion and the true religion. And I want you to see that there's deception going on a massive scale. All right, now introducing Freemasonry. Let's look at the structure of Freemasonry. This is showing you now the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. There's two rites, and the York Rite of Freemasonry. You see the compass and square in this chart. You see the Eye of Lucifer at the top. You see here now the three lodges, Blue Lodge. There are three entering degrees: enter apprentice, fellow craft, master mason, and you can split off at that point into the Scottish Rite or the York Rite. And when you follow the York Rite, let me show you some of these names of these. You have the Royal Arch Mason, so you have the Royal Arch. Order of the Red Cross. Where do we get the Red Cross from? And you know what the Red Cross is, a very charitable organization. When I tell you about the Shriners, you understand that they have Shriner hospitals. Order of the Knights of Malta. Knights of Malta, now a reference to Catholicism and papal knighthoods. And so you see the Maltese cross here. So understand that connection between Roman Catholicism and Freemasonry. Order of the Knights Templar at Commandery. Now, if you read like Dan Brown, or you watch movies, this whole idea of Knights Templar being Freemasons, they try to distract you from that understanding, but here it is in plain sight. Order of the Knights Templar associated with Freemasonry, and then Knights Templar were Gnostics, and they were the ones that were accused of worshiping this weird Baphometic god, also rituals of trampling the cross. You notice here too is the cross and the crown. That is not a Christian symbol, and I just want you to become aware of that. Moving back down is the Scottish Rite, and you see how many degrees in the Scottish Rite, 33 in all, culminating into the 32nd degree, and by the 32nd degree you can now move into either York Rite, Scottish Rite, into Anam's ancient Arabic order of the nobles of the mystic shrine, and this is the Shriner Freemasons. And now you have your honorary your active 33 degrees, your Knight Commander Court honor. So you can see here honorary 33 degree emblems, double-headed eagles, 33, active 33, and you see all of those. Now ladies are involved as well, and we'll see that in the next slide. You can also see here the two pillars of Freemasonry, and they put this B and J there. Structure of Freemasonry, again, Scottish Rite, York Rite, and the steps at the top, meaning at the top. Order of the Knights of Malta, Red Cross, Knights Templar. You also see co-masonry. So you see women involved in co-masonry. You see the Shriners and the Daughters of the Nile. So women can be in Freemasonry, and you see all of these entered apprentices in there, and the allied organizations. Really, the lower degrees are meant to be in the dark with regard to all of this, and you advance in level, you advance in degree, and the symbols become clearer and clearer until once you finally get to the top, you're worshiping Lucifer the entity, not Lucifer the light. Okay, so they are into more light. This is 1917. This is the British Grand Lodge. You can see the entry to that British Grand Lodge is the pentacle, the interior of the Grand Lodge. Now you see Freemasons here in their ridiculous aprons. This is a fraternal club. Here's Knights Templar playing chess, and I just threw that in there just to show you that this is how they like to run society, with the pawns up front doing their dirty work, and they like to cause war and chaos and all of that type of thing. That is their game, and they use that checkerboard as well. A Freemason's tracing board, master's carpet. So this is how they do teach their initiates. And so you can see that you saw that coffin in Aleister Crowley's Madame Talbot tribute to him. You see here, this is key. This is a beehive, and they like society to be run like that. It's a representation of industry, and they like being the elite and everyone else being workers. In this case, you have the checkerboard. You have 3 pillars here. One is wisdom, the other some kind of virtues. And then you have the 2 main pillars of Freemasonry. In this case, it doesn't have Jachin and Boaz here. These are more Hercules pillars, twin pillars, than they are Jachin and Boaz. So you'll see that later on, just later on in this plate, and you see all of the emblems, including the star, sun, and moon, the eye of Lucifer at the top. Moving on, here is the Royal Arch of Freemasonry. This is York Rite, and you can see now the astrological signs around this. You see man, the beasts that you saw in Aleister Crowley's tarot card, which reference the Bible as well. They like to reference the Bible and make you believe that this is biblical, all biblical. Here's similar depictions of that Royal Arch, and here's that keystone in Freemasonry with the pentacle in that keystone. I forget what this acronym is, but it has to do with the initiate, and that's a saying. Moving along, now in other images of Freemasonry, they like to refer to these pillars as legs to stand on. You'll see some of that in these squares. So they're putting the square in there, and then this enlightenment, using the sun there as your intellect or your enlightenment. And so they use all these symbols. Early in your degrees, both in the Scottish and York Rite, you come to know what the name of God is, and this is an abomination. So they use Jah, or referring to Jehovah, Bull, which refers to Baal or Baal, and then On, which is, and if you read this upside down, it's actually On, not No. So Jah, Bull, On is the name of God in Freemasonry, and this On refers to Osiris, and so is it an absolute abomination as a trinity of the name of God. So this is a testament to this occult nature of what this is. And you can see various other forms in Freemasonry or tracing boards, Jachin and Boaz again, and you have all this sacred geometry stuff going on. You see the elements here referring to alchemy, stars, sun and the moon, and this helical thing. I don't know all of these symbols because I'm not a Freemason. My father was, and I have interviewed or talked with Freemasons that testify to the darkness that you have in these rites. And really darkness referring to all of these mystery symbols and the mysteries surrounding all of this. And so it is absolutely dark with regard to that. So now moving along, and you see the similarities between things that were artifacts used in Solomon's temple and the building of this, but you'll see that there is a counterfeit and an opposite going on here. This is a tarot card. You saw this earlier in the plates, but this is Boaz and Jachin referring to this temple pillars in Solomon's temple, and this is showing you, to me, this is the counterfeit. But you see the black and white symbolism, the duality going on. This is a priestess, and you can see the reference also if you saw that Isis and Osiris, but Isis having these sun symbolism and these bull horns or crescent moon hybrid. So anyway, I know you might not understand that, but as we move into all these symbols, you can go over this video and understand what these symbols are. Here is a worshipful master, and the worshipful master wears the top hat, and here's the square. The gavel is also Freemasonic, and you see that gavel used in modern judges use that gavel. A lot of our things are Masonic that we don't understand. Now, this is key here because this is a depiction of the Freemasonic temple. You can see the 2 pillars here, that the 2 pillars are in the west. You can see now the pentagram here and that checkerboard floor, the 3 virtue pillars of virtue, and then The East is the worshipful master, the G, the generative principle, and the Sun all in the East. Okay, understanding that side. Now, look here. This is the true temple, Solomon's temple. You see the two, Jachin and Boaz. Over here, they're not even named. That's why I believe they're the pillars of Hercules rather than Jachin and Boaz, the two pillars in the true temple. Now, you see that the Jachin and Boaz are in the east, whereas these pillars are in the west. It's a complete reversal in the temple. So what they show you as Jachin and Boaz is simply a smokescreen to tell you, though, they're worshiping the true God or what have you. So here's the porch, and of course the Holy of Holies sits in the west. So I just wanted to show you that complete opposite, and you're going to see in the writings even what they like to do, complete opposites against God. And so I wanted to show you that. Here are emblems in Freemasonry. I think they're called jewels in Freemasonry. You see this A over here. This A has a Masonic element to it. It is the compass, and the center portion is shaped like a square. So the compass and the square in this A portion, you'll see that showing up a little bit later on. I understand this is a lot of information. Please just bear with me. Here's the Eye of Lucifer, that light emanating from that, the compass and the square. This is the Aladdin's lamp, and in Arabian culture, the jinn is what is in the Aladdin's lamp. Jinn is a demon, and so in this case you're entrapping a demon and having a demon help you by wishing, conjuring up or invoking this demon, now wishing something to that you can attain through that. And this is quintessential in understanding that demons help people attain earthly power and wealth and all of that stuff. So yes, it's very enticing. It really is like a drug if you do getting into the occult, and that's what this is all about. So you'll see that moving along here. Other emblems here is the balances, double-headed eagles. I don't know exact. Here's a double-headed eagle over there. That's the Omega sign. All right, so moving along, Jachin and Boaz here, the two pillars with the eye in between, square and compass, the pentagram, and now you see the skull and bones. This is an old depiction of an initiate. The initiate now is covered, and you can see where he's initiated at, and you can see this coffin. The occult, have their own born-again experience. So when you see an interview with George W. Bush, one of the guys interviewed him and said, are you a Christian? He says, well, if you mean being born again, yes, I am. So trust me, the occult have their own born-again experience. We'll see that a little bit later. Here's the skull and bones, and you can see these fiery things going on, and even this adornment I'll show you that has roots in Catholicism. Now here's the keystone. Here's a square and compass with a G. The double cross with skull and crossbones. We'll get into that. And then the down pointing star. Now this is a proof to show you that the square represents the female aspect. I dearly love a Mason because a Mason's on the square. So this man who is represented as the compass with the female on the square. So a male on the square. It's a sexual connotation. That G is that union or generative principle of the union of male and female. That's why androgyny has a huge place in this doctrine. And again, now love the square. So the man is loving the square, and she's on the square representing the square. So you can understand the female aspect of that. Are you a Mason? The girls all love a Mason because a Mason never tells. So again, would you really be wanting to marry a Mason who's not going to be true to you in the relationship? So this is the type of thing that they're into. And then now a Mason never tells. I'm going to make her a Mason so she can't tell on me. So you understand the aspect and the understanding that it is a secret society. And we'll move on. Continuing on with Freemasonry, you were introduced to Albert Pike earlier. Now you can see him here. He's a 33rd degree. There's the double-headed eagle. There's his 33rd degree emblem. Has a statue in Washington near the Capitol building. So this is a Confederate soldier with a statue in Washington, also KKK member, general. You can see here the emblem of Freemasonry, 33rd degree. So was that revolution or that civil war really a civil war? He is enshrined here. I know he got pardoned also by a president, and now also enshrined or entombed in the Masonic Lodge in Washington, D.C. He wrote a book called Morals and Dogma, out by Albert Pike. Shows you a lot of interesting things in there. Okay, every Masonic, they like to claim that they're not a religion, but every Masonic lodge is a temple of religion, and its teachings are instructions in the universal, eternal, immutable religion, Morals and Dogma of the Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry by Albert Pike. So that's this book right here. Again, Masonry, the custodian and depository since Enoch of the great philosophical and religious truth, unknown to the world at large. All right, so religious. Now, Lucifer, the light bearer, strange and mysterious name to give to the spirit of darkness. Lucifer, the son of the morning, it is he who bears the light, and with its splendors intolerable blinds feeble, sensual, or selfish souls, doubt it not. So this reference to Lucifer, the light bearer, and in fact, when you understand who they worship Lucifer, that light bearer. That is the light that they are seeking. Morals and Dogma, okay? Now, General Albert Pike, this is a speech given. That which we must say to the crowd is, we worship a God, but it is the God one adores without superstition. To you, Sovereign Grand Inspectors General, we say this, and you may repeat it to the brethren of the 32nd, 31st, and 30th degrees. The Masonic religion should be by all of us initiates of the high degrees maintained in the purity of the Luciferian doctrine. If Lucifer were not God, would Adonai, the God of the Christians, whose deeds prove cruelty, perfidy, and hatred of man, barbarism, and repulsion for science, would Adonai, his priests, culminate him? Yes, Lucifer is God, and unfortunately Adonai is also God, for the eternal law is that there is no light without shade, no beauty without ugliness, no white without black, for the absolute can only exist as two gods, darkness being necessary for light to serve as its foil, as the pedestal is necessary to the statue and the brake to the locomotive. This is that dualism going on. Now, our Bible states specifically that God is light and there is no darkness in him. So understand what they want to do is merge these together. Thus, the doctrine of Satanism is heresy. So now they're claiming that Satanism is heresy, and the true and pure philosophical religion is the belief in Lucifer. They are equal. In this, I'm going to show you, and we should understand that they are according to the Bible. The equal of Adonai is Lucifer, they say, but Lucifer, God of light and God of good, is struggling for humanity against Adonai, the God of darkness and evil. This opposite understanding. It is very deceptive and very can twist your brain if you try to understand what their doctrine is, but you have to understand it by their deeds as well. Masonry, like all religions, all the mysteries, Hermeticism, and alchemy, conceals its secret from all except the adepts, the sages, or the elect, and uses false explanations and misinterpretations of its symbols to mislead those who deserve only to be misled. The blue degrees are but the outer court or portico of the temple. Part of the symbols are displayed there to the initiate, but he is intentionally misled by false interpretations. It is not intended that he shall understand them, but it is intended that he shall imagine he understands them. Their true explication is reserved for the adepts, the princes of Masonry. So you can see this clear deception of early initiates into the degrees, and this is lies as far as interpretation. So you must understand the entire doctrine, whether or not you believe this, what they say here. They twist the truth so cleverly, and I am going to tell you, be aware of this and be aware of what is good and what is evil. All right, the true name of Satan, the Kabbalists say, is that of Yahweh, reversed. There is that reversal again, and you understand in Satanism there is a distinction. Now, Imagine, this is morals and dogma. For Satan is not a black god. Lucifer, the light bearer. Now he's equating Lucifer with Satan and saying that Satan is not a black god because Lucifer is the light bearer. Strange and mysterious name to give to the spirit of darkness. Okay? Lucifer, the son of the morning, it is he who bears the light, doubt it not. So you can understand in context of what is said. We said that earlier. Let's move on over here to Manly P. Hall. Manly P. Hall is another Masonic writer. 33rd degree, you can see that there. Double-headed eagle, same thing. Lost Keys of Freemasonry, you can see by the book covers. Also, it's at the top of the pyramid. This man is now enlightened. He has the enlightenment, the torch of enlightenment, similar to the Statue of Liberty. He has the triangle on his chest, and now he's an enlightened being. The same book, using this Eye of Lucifer, on the back of the dollar bill. The same book as well with George Washington on the cover, showing you that George Washington was the first Mason, most revered Mason for this country and patriarch to this country. He was not a Christian. He was a Luciferian Freemason. Understanding now, this is Albert Mackey. He wrote the Encyclopedia of Freemasonry, and you can see this woman here in Code Masonry. She puts the hand over the bosom. She points to the book, usually a Bible, and then that Bible has a square and compass. But I'm telling you, these are all deceptions. Now, I just want to make things clear. If I say something like believe me, I just want you to understand this is what I'm saying, and you are entitled to your own belief. And when I say believe me, it's just coming from emotion because it's what I've researched. So please bear with me on this. And so I have to go now into, let's look at morals and dogma. No, let's look at this, Manly P. Hall. When the Mason learns that the key to the warrior on the block is the proper application of the dynamo of living power, he has learned the mystery of his craft. The seething energies of Lucifer are in his hands, and before he may step onwards and upwards, he must prove his ability to properly apply this energy. Now, we must understand in Buddhism, they believe that demons, aka Lucifer and his fallen angels and demons, help them attain enlightenment. And so in this case, this is what you have in your hands to attain enlightenment. Now, Arthur Edward Waite, the Book of Black Magic, is a 33rd degree Freemason. First conjuration addressed to Emperor Lucifer, master and prince of rebellious spirits. There's that rebellious understanding, and that 13, understanding that the number 13 is a number of rebellion. I adjure thee to leave thine abode in whatever quarter of the world it may be situated, and come hither to communicate with me. I command and I conjure thee in the name, oh my gosh, how sick can you possibly be? And I don't know, and I don't even want to just actually read that, because I'm reading it out loud. What is more absurd and more impious than to attribute the name of Lucifer to the devil is that is to personified evil. The intellectual Lucifer is the spirit of intelligence and love. It is the practice. It is the Holy Spirit, while the physical Lucifer is the great agent of universal magnetism. Eliphas Levi, and he's the guy that showed you the Baphomet image. So, boy, they really have a twisted way of putting this, and you think it's just spiritism and mysticism, but it is an entity, Lucifer, that the Bible describes that is our adversary and is out to destroy us. And we have in my belief system, we can understand that Jesus is saying that there is a hell and that there is a heaven, and he doesn't want you to go to the wrong place. Satanic ritual is a blend of Gnostic, Kabbalistic, Hermetic, and Masonic elements, incorporating nomenclature and vibratory words of power from virtually every mythos. Masonic orders have contained the most influential men in many governments, and virtually every occult order has many Masonic roots. Anton LaVey, that's that renowned Satanist. So you can understand Masonic orders containing influential men in many governments. Now, one thing I want to show you here is look at the deception going on. Part of the symbols are displayed there to the initiate. Okay, so he's intentionally misled. We read that in the upper portion. Must always be a commonplace interpretation for the mass of initiates, of the symbols that are eloquent to the adepts. So they're showing you that the upper levels get the true meaning, and once you get to the highest level, you understand that it is Lucifer that you're worshiping. You must conceal all the crimes of your brother Masons, except murder and treason, and these only at your own option. So they're showing you that you have to be immoral, and that you should hide your brother from even those types of crimes. And should you be summoned as a witness against a brother Mason, be always sure to shield him. So you have to shield him from crime. Prevaricate or falsify. Don't tell the whole truth in his case. Keep his secrets. Forget the most important points. It may be perjury to do this, it is true, but you're keeping your obligations. And remember, if you live up to your obligations strictly, you'll be free from sin. How absolutely deceptive is that? I'll tell you what, if you want power and money and all of those things, go ahead. Practice those things and you'll get it, because you can take advantage of others easily that way without any conscience. Now, moving on to the double-headed eagle. We have the double-headed eagle here. Now you can read this on your own, but when we get to the bottom here, the whole right being considered a representative of the Holy Empire. So now you understand now Rome and the connection between the Holy Roman Empire. Rome never died. Rome was transformed into the Holy Roman Empire, and that empire is still with us today. That Catholic Church and that Rome, oh, they are the largest wealth accumulator on the planet. You're going to see that a little bit later. Well, we have Ordo Ab Char. This is Freemasonic, and the use of this double-headed phoenix or eagle, both phoenix and eagle, they use 33rd degree, Ordo Ab Char, order out of chaos. They like to create chaos, bring order out of that chaos of the masses, and bring in a new system that way. And they've done it throughout the century. This is the double-headed eagle of Rome. You see the papal keys, war and the earth, war and the earth. This is Habsburg family, a bloodline of the Roman Empire, and the use of that double-headed phoenix. And on the dollar bill, there is a telltale sign that that phoenix always has this crest, or these head feathers that way. And there's a little bit of that on the American eagle as well. This is the German double-headed eagle. This is the Russian double-headed eagle. And of course, Kanye West has the Chanel double-headed eagle. And all of the symbols that those guys use are occult symbology, referencing Rome, and that is a key connection I want you to understand. This is the Holy Roman Empire and that colonial system with all these countries involved, and you see this Knights Templar crosses everywhere, Masonic checkerboards, mystical beings, griffins, snakes, and all of that stuff, and I'm telling you, this has nothing to do with Christianity whatsoever. This is Arthur Waite, who I read you that quote with, the Knights Templar orders in Freemasonry. Now you can see the reverence for the goat. The Templar orders in Freemasonry, the Knights Templar, and here's the Templar cross and the cross and crown, which is not Christian, it's Gnosticism. Eliphas Levi and his books, Transcendental Magic, so magic is key. Now this Kabbalist mysticism, and you can understand that that is not the Star of David, it is an occult seal of Solomon, and going even back to that, but it is an occult sign of idolatry. And you can also notice here the triple tiara, which the Pope has and Rome has, Eliphas Levi. Now you see this intertwining snake as well, and bird. Also, it's like a cockatrice, which is half bird, half reptile. The key to the mysteries. Now you can understand what the key means, and we'll see the key to the mysteries here. You saw that keyhole in Warren Buffett's book, and now you see here that it refers indeed to the key to the mystery religions and Satanism, translated by Aleister Crowley. So these guys are all interconnected. Moving along with Freemasonry. So we're going to understand who Freemasons are. Life magazine, you can see Freemasons in the form of a pyramid. U.S. Masons, and this is 1956. Let's end all of the discontent. Elect a Mason president. I'll tell you one thing: if the first president of the United States was a Freemason, think about it. How many other Freemasons were there in this country? And these are just to name a few. I believe all of them were Freemasons. And so I'll show you more than just one the people that are here. So you can see all the Freemasons. I'll go through this quickly. Here's Ben Franklin, Harry Truman, Gerald Ford, Washington. You can see here John Wayne as a Shriner. This is head of the FBI. Oh gosh, there was a movie recently about him, Harry Truman, and I forget him. All walks of life being represented. Ronald Reagan is a 33rd degree honorary. And there you see Harry Truman and his regalia. You can see the gavel being used, and that's used with judges. Moving on, Scottish Rite magazine, formerly known as the New Age magazine. And you can see actors, Kramer, Buzz Aldrin, and commemoration, Freemasonic commemorations. They lie, and they're meant to lie. They're meant to swear to secrecy. And so whatever they do, you cannot trust, completely not trust. Actors, it's their initiates, their children get into those walks of life. Here's royalty. You can see here, this is King George. Look at how nicely fashioned that apron is. But I'm telling you, how can you dress up like that and still be sane? Here we have Prince Hall Lodge. Now this is interracial. All races are involved, and so you see now Jesse Jackson, 33rd degree. This is Dubois here. You can see here he's actually doing a Masonic pose. That actually, Pledge of Allegiance, is a Masonic pose. So you put the hand over the heart, and they do this in the lodge, and it stems from Freemasonry. So you can understand that in this country, that's what goes on. Here's Nat King Cole, Richard Pryor. All walks of life. Look at their Bishop Tutu. And you have here, oh gosh, I forget that, trumpet player, Henry Kissinger. Now, looking at this, Shaquille O'Neal, he is now entered. He was on a sports channel actually showing off his Masonic ring. Poor guy. Now he's into Freemasonry. Scottie Pippen, you see here, Barack Obama inaugural ball. Now he's been invited by Masons. This is a Newsweek magazine, September 2008. I believe it's September 2008. You can look that up. Memo to Senator Obama. He's now here with the presidential seal, adjusting that. This ring is here. And showing that ring close up, that is the compass and the square, and quintessential colors of Freemasonry as well, blue and gold. Bill Clinton, given my affinity for Catholics, it's ironic that besides music, my major extracurricular interest from 9th grade on was the Order of Demolay, a boys' organization sponsored by the Masons. So if you're in Demolay, you're going to go into being a Mason. And so we can't see all who enter into secret society. We just have to get clues. And here's Barack Obama, very proud to show this square and compass of Freemasonry. Let's move on. Isaac Newton, The Alchemy of Science and Mysticism, and the use of the square and the compass. Mozart, complete Masonic music. Now, I'm living in Hawaii now, and this is King David Kalakaua, and he is a Shriner Freemason. You can see Islam here. Talk about selling your people out to this religion. And there's a statue of him on Kalakaua Avenue with the square and compass at the base of that statue. Also, this portrait is at the U.S. Lodge in Washington, D.C. Now, just to show you that Freemasonry is interracial and global, and this is an example. There was an article done to show you that all walks of life, all religions, this is what they want to do, is bring all of this stuff together in a one world, and understanding that. This is Egypt, India, Brazil. It is a global organization. Moving along, Japan, and they have been there since the mid-1700s, perhaps even early 1700s. You have now the square and the compass in this shot. Surprising, yes. And look at the square checkerboard pattern, and these are, look, samurais with a Western man, in that case, indoctrinating the entire population. And so you can see here he is doing the hidden hand, and this a magazine. My wife, when I first started researching this in my testimony, I was researching this and going, hey, you know, it's a global thing, let's check it out. And she actually did this research for me to find out that this is what's going on globally. And so we have Chinese. This is Mao with Dubois here. Famous Freemasons. Education is the whole system of human training within and without the school's house walls, which molds and develops men. So Brother Dubois. And so here he is with Mao. I have come to find out that all of the revolutions are perpetrated by Freemasonry since at least the French Revolution. And so we have Chinese Freemasons here. You can see them. It's global. So what you think is opposition and communism is, in fact, behind closed doors, they are shaking hands. They are simply experiments, government and social experiments, with a one world agenda that they have in the end. Here's Marilyn Manson, that Satanist, and of course he wears two types of rings here. It is the pentagram and the square and compass. I always like this one, Marilyn Mason. You can read all about who's famous in this book, 10,000 Famous Freemasons. There is De Molay, the supposed Knights Templar that was persecuted by the church. I've come to find out that persecution by the church, what they like to do is they separate themselves from the organization. They work like the mafia. They can take anybody out that they raise up. So they can give you a country, give you an organization, and guess what? They'll take you down for it. And that's how the system works in this realm. So I want you to understand that Knights Templar, and you'll understand that in religion was a schism, and what they do is they separate the organization so that you think that they're in opposition. Now let's understand Theosophy. This is Madame Blavatsky, and she is well known to be Luciferian, and you can understand that through her writings. Now she was the founder of Theosophy. You can see the occult symbols that she has here. This is the Ankh, which represents resurrection in the occult. So please, you can see there's counterfeits in this, and I want you to be aware of that. This is the Ouroboros. You see the swastika. You see the hexagram within that, and then you see the crown as well. Now, Madame Blavatsky was a Freemason, and this is her diploma. There is Madame H.P. Blavatsky at the bottom, 33rd degree. Now you see the stork and the phoenix. You see the two pillars now represented as Egyptian obelisks, and so you can see now that they are merging these together, their pillars with Egyptian obelisks, and that reverence for Egypt. And so you can understand this. That's her diploma. Lucifer, a Theosophical magazine, H.P. Blavatsky. She is a Luciferian, and I want you to understand that. Here's Lucifer again, H.P. Blavatsky. One of her disciples was Annie Besant. You can see she's part of Co-Masonry, the double-headed eagle with crown there, and she now has a 33rd degree album in Co-Masonry. She puts this is not the hand to the bosom, but it is the lion's paw or lion's grip, and you'll see that later. This is, I believe, her husband, and her husband, now this is Ledbetter, I'm not sure if this was actually her husband, but this is Ledbetter, one of the popes of Freemasonry. You can see how well adorned he is, and not only is he a Freemason, but he is looks like either Catholicism or Orthodox, but that is of the same breed in religion. Freemasonry, and its ancient rites, the author of that, and the use of the Eye of Lucifer with illumination around it. So they can look and act. This is a key example of looking and acting like who they say they aren't. This is his true religion. This is his false religion. But in a sense, this looks like Christianity. It is far from Christianity. Just look at it. I mean, for goodness sake, please understand that this does not represent Christianity at all. Moving on, another disciple of Alice Bailey, of Madame Blavatsky, I'm sorry. H.P. Blavatsky is Alice Bailey. Alice Bailey, you can see on her website, actually she uses the Masonic style A, the A with the square within it. These people have, they channel. And so Madame Blavatsky channeled information from deities or spirit beings. I forget the name of her. You can look that up on the internet. But Alice Bailey's channel information came from this person depiction, and this person depicted is Dwaj Kul. Here he is. This is what they referred to in the New Age called ascended masters, claiming all of these beings are ascended beings. And look at the similarity of these beings to the depictions of who Jesus was. Interesting how they can imitate that, and these are just artist depictions of that. So it goes to show you whether or not depictions of Jesus are actually real depictions or false depictions. So very interesting what is going on. So these are channeled informations, and channeling is well known in the demonic realm, spiritism and mediums, psychics, and giving readings this way. Alice Bailey, Consciousness of the Atom. One of her bigger books is Externalization of the Hierarchy. And in a nutshell, what they're doing now is exactly implementing this philosophy, which is to externalize the religion onto the public through the use of symbols and ideologies. And we have this throughout. We can see this in culture. The spirit of Masonry, you'll see that externalization in some of the case studies we have at the end. The spirit of Masonry, Foster Bailey, her husband. This logo here, and there, well, I don't know really too much about this logo, but moving on into Lucis Trust, and this logo, of course, the sun emanating. Lucis Trust was originally Lucifer Publishing Company. And you can see Lucifer Publishing Company here, founded in 1922. It was changed to Lucis Trust because, of course, the obvious reference to Lucifer. They hold a seat. This Lucis Trust holds a seat at the United Nations, and they also disseminate material, literary material, through the United Nations. So big time these people are, and they are Luciferian. It just so happens that the prayer room at the United Nations has the largest magnet. So you can see in one of our first plates in Freemasonry, a universal magnetism. So they have this largest magnet ever mined. It's actually embedded into the foundation, into the earth. This magnet is. The shape of the prayer room is a truncated pyramid. So you can see in floor plan. Me being an architect, I can tell you that all of this symbolism is done in plan and in design. It's not just a coincidence. You see the sunlight emanating onto the magnet, and so this oculus being done. This painting itself is a Luciferian painting. I believe there are 72 geometric things here. I haven't counted them, but you can read all about this in the Cult of the All-Seeing Eye. I forget whether or not that 72 has correlation there. So we have now the New Age magazine, which was which has been since changed to the Scottish Rite magazine, and you can see now. But the New Age movement was founded by Freemasonry. Now, introductory study course in Theosophy, understanding that they're using this pentagram symbology with man in it. Okay, I do have to make a correction. I'm not sure if this actual Alice Bailey is on her website. I think somebody made that up, but it is the use of the actual Masonic style A. So I'm not sure. Some of this stuff I researched a while back. Let's look at what Madame Blavatsky says. The Secret Doctrine by Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. Lucifer represents life, thought, process, progress, civilization, liberty, independence. Lucifer is the Logos, or God. The serpent, the Savior. See how opposite they are. It is Satan who is God, the God of our planet, and the only God. So you can see now she's developed her doctrine, the celestial version, which thus becomes the mother of gods and devils at one and the same time, for she is the ever-loving beneficent deity. But in antiquity and reality, Lucifer is Luciferius, Luciferius is the name. Lucifer is divine and terrestrial light, the Holy Ghost and Satan at one and the same time. Freemasonry and co-founder of Lucifer Publishing Company, now called Lucis Trust, Foster Bailey concurs, it is not possible from a contemplation of this side of Masonic teaching that it may provide all that is necessary for the formulation of a universal religion. That was in a question. The Spirit of Masonry, page 113. Foster Bailey states that Masonry is the descendant of or is founded upon a divinely imparted religion. This religion, he explains, was the first united world religion. Then came the era of separation of many religions and sectarianism. Today we are working again toward a world universal religion. In my realm in Christianity, they are working. The top levels of people, even in the evangelical realm, are working toward globalization, unification, universalism, and this one world government. And from my perspective and the biblical perspective, this is called spiritual harlotry, and we want to separate ourselves from that thing. You can believe what you want to believe, but anyway, moving on. One of the most hidden secrets involves the so-called fall of angels. Satan and his rebellious host will thus prove to have become the direct saviors and creators of divine man. Thus Satan, once he ceases to be viewed in the superstitious spirit of the church, grows into the grandiose image. It is Satan who is the God of our planet and the only God. Satan, or Lucifer, represents the centrifugal energy of the universe, this ever-living symbol of self-sacrifice for the intellectual independence of humanity. So Satan is our savior to her. No one will enter the New World Order unless he or she will make a pledge to worship Lucifer. No one will enter the New Age unless he will take a Luciferian initiation. David Spangler, Director of Planetary Initiative, United Nations. They are Universalists. They are Luciferian to the core. Now, on Lucis Trust's website, you can understand now when they say the esoteric meaning of Lucifer, it is the opposite. So in this case, we are reading the exoteric meaning of Lucifer, what they are giving you, the uninitiated. There are comments in the World Wide Web claiming that Lucis Trust was once called Lucifer Trust. Such was never the case. Okay, we just saw the documents. However, for a brief period of 2 or 3 years, in the early 1920s, when Alice and Foster Bailey were beginning to publish the books, published under her name, they named their fledgling company, publishing company, Lucifer Publishing Company. There it is. By 1925, the name was changed to Lucis Publishing Company and was renamed so ever since. Both Lucifer and Lucis come from the same root word, lucis, meaning in Latin generative case, being the Latin generative case meaning of light. So all it really simply means is light, and you can read the rest of this portion. Now moving on to the Great Invocation. Now, understanding that invocating in the satanic Luciferian realm means invocating spirits, invoking. And this is now a invoking saying that you can all recite if you like, but look at what they want you to do. Many religions believe in a world teacher or savior, knowing him as under such names as the Christ, Lord Maitreya, Imam Mahdi, the Bodhisattva, and the Messiah. And these terms are used in some of the Hindu Christian, Hindu, Muslim, Buddhist, and Jewish versions of the Great Invocation. Men and women of goodwill throughout the world are using this invocation in their own language. Will you join them in using the invocation every day with thought and dedication? By using the invocation and encouraging others to use it, no particular group or organization is sponsored. It belongs to all humanity, bringing all humanity to one. And the fundamental difference between Jesus Christ, as he says it, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but by me. His exclusivity, not Maitreya, not Mahdi, not Bodhisattva, and not any other Messiah or any other form of Jesus. Understanding that fundamental difference. And there you have it. Fundamentalism. And what is fundamentalism and what have they portrayed fundamentalism to be is this radical view, but is clear in the writings that there is a deception going on the other side of religion. I can show you that. And then there is a fundamental difference between Jesus and his religion and all others being the counterfeit, and a fundamental difference as being evil and deceptive and secret. So I want us to understand now, moving on to who these people are in the truth movement. The truth movement, there are two sides of the truth movement, I believe. There is the biblical side to the truth movement, and there is the occult side. This man here, Jordan Maxwell, Jordanus Maxwell, that's actually not his real name, but he's made up that name. He is part of the occult truth movement. You can see here he is a Freemason giving a Masonic handshake with Zecharia Sitchin. Zecharia Sitchin is no Freemason. You can see him here on the internet in a Masonic lodge covering his face, but that is the same man, and he is the writer of the 12th Planet, all this 2012 Nibiru stuff going on and indoctrinating people into these occult alien type things. Aliens are none other than demonic spiritual beings. Okay, we have Jordan Maxwell now. This is key to understanding how they do things. They expose Freemasonry and tell you that this is a secret society. So they expose themselves, and they're doing this. And understand what they're doing. They are going to expose themselves as being corrupt, cause wars, have people now going against this whole thing, and bring in the wars and the chaos and the cry for a new age. And so I just want you to understand the psychology behind all this. They'll tell you Freemasonry, but they will not tell you that is a Luciferian doctrine, but they will equate Freemasonry with Catholicism, and they'll say, see, look at Christianity. Christianity is the same thing. And they will point at Catholicism as being Christian, and there's the fundamental flaw in what they're showing you, because Catholicism is not, it's clearly not Christianity. So please understand where that is coming from. These people also claim, and you can find this out on the internet for yourself, claim that they've been channeled by demons, and that demons have told them to do things similar to these people up above. So he's met several entities that tell him what his purpose in life are, and we'll move on into these. Now we have the TV shows called The Ancient Aliens. Now on Jordan's website you have Michael Sarian. He is well known to be a Luciferian. You have David Icke, who is one of the big names, if not the biggest name in the truth movement, the occult truth movement. David Icke actually tells you that he's the Son of God on this interview, and people laugh at him. But he's an older man now and gaining really big respect in the truth movement world. Art Bell, you can see the use of the Eye of Lucifer. And then you see the Friends of Jordan Maxwell and the UFO hunters. They tell you all these guys are acting on TV and in this club. Within the club, showing you that UFOs could be aliens, and those aliens might be life from other planet. I don't know what they're setting you up for, but this is a very key aspect to what is going on today. The indoctrination of the possibility of aliens planting humanity, panspermia it's called, and that movie Prometheus was an allusion to that. And there is Art Bell. Now moving on to Zeitgeist, and this is something that before 3 years ago that I looked at and said, wow, You know, it must be that Jesus is the same as everybody else. So who do they attack specifically? They tell you two parts truth, and I believe that the economy and everything is, and the money system is all completely corrupted. Fractional reserve banking, they tell you. And then they tell you 9/11 was an inside job, and from my perspective, it is. And so I don't know if you guys are even past that. Some of you are not really understanding that. I just urge you to do the research. Don't assume and be told. Don't assume what you hear and what they do to you every year to indoctrinate you into believing that 9/11 really become the new 4th of July here in the United States. So please go research it for yourself, and I can show you that. I cover it very shortly or briefly in this second part. But look at the symbolism here. The third part of the movie Zeitgeist, this is millions of viewers, 15 million plus, 20 million, probably going on more of the views of this movie. Look at the symbolism going on. Single eye, one eye symbolism. In this section here, look, it is what we saw Jay-Z doing, the triangle and the sun, or the illumination coming from that triangle. And these are the early initiates. They get the, oh, we're worshiping the sun. No, it's the light, more light, and the intellect. No, more light, it's Lucifer himself, the entity. So please view this video, and I'll show you that there is religion being perpetrated through this video. And the one that they are attacking in the third section of Zeitgeist is specifically Jesus. And so you can see man being God, that God spirit that is in all of us. This is what they're perpetrating as the religion of the New Age, when in fact it will be essentially what David Spangler said previously, which is the Luciferian doctrine, worshiping Lucifer. Please don't be deceived. This whole thing is world peace, moving toward this one world government. They're going to take you through chaos. You're going to be screaming for peace, and then you're going to enter in the new age, their new age. According to the Bible, there's only a 7-year plan that Satan has, and it's called the Great Tribulation. Fundamentally, Christians have to understand what the prophecy reads. The book of Revelation is all about that, and this is a deception globally. I understand it sounds so noble. Humanity coming together. Yeah, we're going to travel through space. Yes, we're going to hormone therapy and all new, change our DNA and become healthy and live long and the whole 9 yards. And believe me, it's all a trap. And I know I say that, believe me, but just research it for yourself and understand what this is all about. Fundamentally, it is religion being portrayed, and your soul is at stake rather than your physical body and the existence of humanity in this case. Now look at Zeitgeist, the use of this Luciferian eye, and look at the cult of the serpent. So that similarity of the symbols being used. Now before I became who I became, a born-again Christian, I looked and wanted to be part of this Venus project. I was into ecological architecture. I thought it was the next best thing, this whole green movement, and the Venus project was part of that. This is the architect Jacques Fresco. I actually contacted the Venus project. Look, they're called the Venus Project. And I'm just going to tell you, a lot of entities are channeled, and they call them Venetians and from Venus, and all of that deception. This is the fantastic architecture that could be part of humanity in the future. If we just work together, we'll be fully ecological and realize a new dream for humanity. This is Acharya S. She is the main source of Zeitgeist. So Acharya S., look at the books that she promotes. The Christ Conspiracy, the greatest story ever sold, telling you that Christ and Jesus is a selling. They are against it. They are against the Bible. If you actually read the Bible, you will understand that the Bible is quintessentially anti-establishment. It calls the leaders out for who they are, and you're not going to take up arms against them. You're going to be understanding fundamentally that Jesus came and died for you. This is the gospel message, and I know it sounds fantastic, but look who they are going against. We are peaceful. I don't own a gun, and I don't intend to ever harm anyone. This is not my belief, and this is what Jesus did, peace and love, just telling you in truth and in love that he wants you for him, and that he wants you to take you to heaven, and that we're done doing things peacefully. Just letting you know that's here, the gospel according to Acharya S. Now look at using the gospel message according to Acharya S. and now this dualism, Buddhism type thing. So if you're going to get trapped into this belief system, I'm going to show you that they would rather you be an atheist, a evolutionary atheist, or practice any other religion besides true Christianity. And I want to show that to you in the second half, but we'll continue on in this section. Now let's look at the foundations of the Illuminati, and I'm going to begin with this chart. It's based on what I believe, Lucifer and Satan. These are not all the same. There are different charts out there, so you can mix and match if you want to, but to me these are the most accurate ones. But there is something that I want you to be aware of at the end of this presentation, really that is the climax and the gist of the entire presentation. So please bear with this entire presentation to the end. Understanding now Satan and Lucifer at the top helm. This chart says that the papal bloodlines are the Roman Empire bloodlines. We have a black nobility council, and this is Jesuitism, the Jesuit Council and the Jesuit Order. Moving on to Zionism and the Rothschilds. Zionism is the establishment or the political establishment of the State of Israel. And there is a truth movement side on the occult side that is against this type of Zionism, and I can show you that. And then we have aristocracy and knighthoods. Moving on to secret services. So you can see the structure. Here's the Illuminati Brotherhood, CFR, and the Freemasonic structure. We put Ignatius Loyola at the top here because he is the Jesuit general. He is somewhere in this area. He is representing these bloodlines. And then we have the Rothschilds and Zionism. You see Mayer Amschel Rothschild. His sons, we'll see that a little bit later, who are in charge of the Vatican's money hoard, and that is the Swiss banking system. Their system now is the economy that we run on globally. This is Adam Weishaupt. He was a Jesuit priest, and he is attributed to founding the Illuminati itself. And the Illuminati itself is really this entire structure all the way up to the top level. Give me a control of a nation's money, I care not who makes her laws. And this is Mayer Rothschild. And so governments are run by money. As Satanists, we were told that the Illuminati were very powerful satanic spiritual beings, which is not entirely false because the Illuminati is possessed by these beings. Now, Stephen Dolan's, you can look him up and what he believes, but I understand that to be true, meaning that possession is really the gist of it. The majority of, this is Manly P. Hall, the majority of modern mediumistic apparitions are but elemental creatures, his word for demons, masquerading through bodies, i.e. possession, composed of thought substance, us, supplied by the very persons desiring to behold. Okay, so these, not thought substance, us, but these bodies, demonic demons, that they are thought substance and supplied by the very persons desiring to behold these rays of decarnate beings, meaning they're not incarnate, they are decarnate, and people give them up to possession. And this is key to understanding this. And you saw in the previous part of part 1, demonic possession, these people do this, and it's like a drug. They want that power, and they give the spirits and the demons free reign of their body. Oh gosh, look at this chart now. This is Jack Chick. My mother gave this to me a long time ago. I didn't realize what it really was. Here is the Roman Catholic Church and the Jesuits, the Illuminati, CFR, the international bankers, the Mafia, which is the Hood Mafia, Club of Rome, Opus Dei, the Masons, New Age movement. Let me read this. The Catholic Church is the biggest financial power, wealth accumulator, and property owner in existence. She is a greater possessor of material riches than any other single institution, corporation, bank, giant trust, government, or state of the whole globe. The Pope, as the visible ruler of this immense amassment of wealth, is consequently the richest individual in the 20th century. No one can realistically assess how much he is worth in terms of billions of dollars. Okay, now, this is early on back in the 80s, and I believe that this white Pope that you see here is actually subservient to the black pope, which are the Jesuit generals. And the Jesuit council here, you see, are actually now supporting these bloodlines dating all the way back to the Roman Empire, and I believe all the way back to Babylon. So the elite have always been the elite in this sense. Now let's move on to this chart. I believe it is an accurate chart from what I see and what I've studied. Rome being at the helm currently. They have their fingers in everything. There's the Knights of Columbus, secret societies, Rosicrucians, Jesuits, and you see Jesuits. You see here Yakuza, which is the Japanese mafia, and then you see Illuminati, Skull and Bones Society, Bilderberg Group. Yeah, sounds kind of far-fetched, huh? Well, Knights of Malta and the CIA, and I'll show you that connection with one particular individual there, more than one individual. You see Knights Templar. You see here very clearly Rosicrucians, Knights Templar, Masons, Masonry, Freemasonry to Theosophists, Theosophy to Lucis Trust, and Theosophy to the New Age movement through Freemasonry, Lucis Trust, United Nations. So you can see the accuracy that I just showed you of this chart. And of course, look, the Nazi Party, European Union. Oh, there's a lot going on, and they are all interconnected. So I just want you to be aware of that. Moving on, here is Ignatius Loyola. You see the Jesuit logo, IHS. There he is. Look how they like to put halos on each other as well. Wow, what an organization. Global Jesuit Assistancies, they are global. Actually, Maryland, the state of Maryland in the United States, was named Maryland, Virgin Maryland, by Catholicism. And so you see who they are, all dressed in black for your consumption. Now, Blavatsky, and I don't like to quote from her, but you can take some truths out of it and just divulge information. It is curious to note that most of the bodies which work these, such as the ancient accepted Scottish Rite, the Rite of Avignon, the Order of the Temple, Fessler's Rite, and Grand Council of the Emperors of the East and West, Sovereign Prince, Masons, etc., etc., are nearly all offsprings of the sons of Ignatius Loyola, the Baron Hunt, Chevalier, Ramsey, Schutte, Zen, all these family bloodlines, and the grades of these rites worked under instructions from the general of the Jesuits. Just to show you. And of course, she's part of it, and she admires this rather than does not admire this. So this is just showing you bloodlines. Now looking at the supposed birthday of the Illuminati, at least the Colombian faction, it is said that its birthday is May 1st, 1776. That's why you actually have the 1776 on the bottom of the pyramid, when it is also the birth date of the nation. But May 1st is a satanic holiday. It is called May Day or Beltane's Day, and that's usually when they do the maypole pagan dance around. We look at Rihanna here in pop culture now, and she has Adam Weishaupt's image on her arm. And within a video, she's called the Princess of the Illuminati. So they are externalizing this idea of the Illuminati. They're not caring anymore. It really is in your face. And so if we go one more generation, we're really not going to care anything about this. The new generation will, because they'll be completely programmed into because of the media and entertainment doing this type of thing. We have, looking at the Rothschild dynasty, these are the 5 brothers of Mayer Amschel Rothschild who went out and established central banking using the Vatican Horde. So they are essentially lieutenants of this Vatican Horde, given charge of establishing economies this way. And this is what we see globally now, taken over the world, the establishment of this current fractional reserve banking economy. And so you can see here is the Rothschild emblem. Within that emblem, there is a six-pointed star up above as well. This is attributed to the fact that the Vatican and the Nazis were working together and hoarding money through the Swiss banking system. That Swiss banking system is completely private, so there is no transparency at all. United Bank of Scotland, you can see here they use the papal keys, so does the United Bank of Scotland. I'm not saying that it is, but they are connected that way. The Swiss banks are the Vatican banks. And also you can see the checkerboard floor. This is an ominous image that they actually created a Vatican bank, so they're out in the open with an actual bank itself. So here we have a religious institution involved in that which they shouldn't be involved with, banking. Are you going to serve God or mammon? Mammon meaning money, and God is against this. So looking at the creature from Jekyll Island, this is the story of the Federal Reserve, and it was a story of them going to an island and planning the establishment of the Federal Reserve Act 1913 that was passed, and these are the men involved with that. And the prominent name here is John D. Rockefeller. You have J.P. Morgan, Schiff, and the Warburgs, and there are other families involved with this. Looking at this, tells it all. This is a pyramid scheme. It is a Ponzi scheme, and it is printing money out of thin air. That is what fractional reserve banking means. You take a fraction of what you have and you loan out 90 plus percent of what you don't have. And so that is printed out and simply these days done with computers and numbers. So they use terms like quantitative easing. That's the latest term they used in pumping money into the economy. Quantitative easing, how easily decipherable that is to say that all they're doing is easing the economy by pumping money into it. And this can be further from the truth. Here is the establishment of central banking. If the people actually knew how simple it is to understand that the entire world's economy is debt-based. We're not buying debt at all because we can never pay back any debt. There is no interest at all in this system. There is interest tacked on to debt, but it's simply debt-based, and that is all. So it's fiat currency. It's monopoly money. And so if you own the system of monopoly money, then you own the world. And this is exactly what they do. They own the world. And so you can see the example of the amount of debt in the world, and what countries have the most debt are the countries that are the richest countries. It's just as simple as that. If we knew it, we would be up in arms that way. But of course, in my belief system, I'm not up in arms. I'm comfortable knowing that the world is going down and that there is a plan for all of this, a spiritual plan. We are part of a secret cabal working against the best interests of the United States, conspiring with others around the globe to build a more integrated global political and economic structure, one world. David Rockefeller in his book Memoirs. So this is the Federal Reserve, World Bank, IMF, Bilderberg, CFR, Trilateral Commission, NAFTA, World Trade Organizations. All of these organizations are owned and operated, and we're meant to believe that they're all independent things, and everybody's fighting for it. They own everything. Now, one thing I did want to say is that if you're going to believe that your politicians in this nation, this is the United States, believe that are ignorant to how the economy works and that it's fiat currency, fiat based, I'm sorry, but I believe that you're being completely naive. These people know what they're doing. They know how the economy works. They know it's a central bank. They know it's fiat currency, and they simply just act their way into you believing, oh, we have a national debt, we have to pay off our debt. It is all slave based. They are all playing the game. They understand it. They go back into the back rooms. They rehearse their speech for the masses. And I'm telling you, if it's in entertainment, it's in politics. Please don't be naive to thinking that your politicians are telling you how things work. They know it's a Ponzi scheme. They are in the ball game itself. And on the other note, you may have one lone wolf crying out there, i.e., like a Ron Paul of a third party or the Republican Party. And if you research Ron Paul, he's playing the game as well. His wife and his daughter are Freemasons. We can't confirm whether he's a Freemason or not, but when your wife and daughter are, it is very rare for you not to be. So understand that all of their people that even have a voice are playing the game, or else they don't have a voice at all. They don't even make it on television. That is my understanding and my research, and please understand that and go seek that for yourself. Now, going on to the Club of Rome, if the present trends, I'm not going to read this, but basically they're saying that we're in trouble if we don't control all of these factors. Pollution, production, yes, I understand. So they're trying to solve the world's problems, and their solution is a 10-region system, bringing this whole Babylonian New World Order together. It is the Old World Order now encompassing the New World Order, which encompasses the entire planet. North American Union, European Union, you have Japan here and its own economic power, but you see all of these regions, and there are biblical connotations to this in the book of Revelation as far as the number 10 with regard to these regions as well. So moving on, here is the Pope. You can see this ominous sculpture behind. It looks like Lucifer to me, an angelic being in a type of whirlwind. European Union signing was done at the Vatican. Here's Tony Blair here, and you can see that large sculpture of one of the Pope. I think that's Pope Innocent. Moving along, look at the currency of the European Union. Revelation 17, a woman riding the beast. And you can see that symbology. Now, woman riding the beast on currency. Magazine covers. A woman riding the beast. All of this having biblical significance, and they do this on purpose. Here's an old picture of the Tower of Babel. Here's NATO headquarters. I believe that's NATO headquarters or EU Parliament, one or the other. And then you have also Occupy movement. If you really research the Occupy movement was a UN originated movement, and we are to think that this is all grassroots. But look at the imagery of the Occupy movement of the woman riding the beast. And so look at also this European Union, Europe, many tongues, one voice, and the significance of that is the Tower of Babel. Look at the shape of the stars. You remember that tarot card pointing down. And then also look at this. These are blockheads. So you have conformed now to this world and this system. Look at the baby has the round head. This is an insult to us. So the baby is round head, has not conformed, and all of everyone needs to conform to the system. This is what they want. Kind of interesting. They have pyramids in the background as mountains as well. Look at the Tower of Babel symbology again at the EU Parliament building and that unfinished type of tower structure. And me as an architect understand that this is the case. Now here's that tarot card, and look at the shape of that the star in comparison. Moving along with the emblem of the 33rd degree and Ordo ab Chao, order out of chaos. You have this, Sapientia, S-A-P-I-E-N-T-I-A. Sapientia refers to the Constitution of the Vatican. You have the Solvent Cross, which is also a Vatican creation called the Solvent Cross. So you have this reference to Rome. And again, I show Napoleon with his Roman hand of power, sign of the benediction, and laurel leaf, and the Caesars wore the laurel leaf. What I'm going to tell you is that Rome has been continually putting on a face or a veil of Jesus, when in fact they're completely pagan. Finishing up this plate, let's look at this final chart here. And so you have the black popes. They are representing these bloodlines. And you have the Jesuit Council, black pope, white pope. This is the old black pope, and this is the new black pope. And then I've also heard that there is a gray pope who we don't see. But anyway, we move along, and you see now Knights of Malta. This is Knights of the Order of St. John, and the Solvent cross there. And then you have them here. This is the Knights of Malta, and you see the Maltese cross. You see this adornment with crown. You see that same adornment with crown on all of the degrees of the Scottish Rite. And this is the 33rd degree adornment, and you can see the similarity between the two adornments in that Scottish Rite. You can see the adornment inside the lodge as well, being that same type of adornment. They are one and the same. Rome is Gnosticism, is Knights Templar, is Freemasonry, and all the way through is Rosicrucianism. And you can see that same adornment. Now here's a double-headed eagle with the black and white dualism symbology, the eye of Lucifer, or the triangle emanating the Knights of Malta, or the Maltese cross. Now you see royalty being down on the list. They are actually owned by this Roman system, and they are allowed to reign, rule and reign their particular countries in this colonial Roman system. And now you see presidents and dignitaries way down on the list. Freemasonry. Freemasonry is simply a church for these guys, and there are high-level people that own corporations and run corporations and are allowed to be wealthy that run them. Knights of Columbus is the Catholic version. What they like to do is separate themselves from the other organizations and then create another sister organization like the Knights of Malta that are exclusively Catholic. And so here are the Knights of Malta way down on the list, and you see them in their pageantry sometimes. And these are usually people, they don't know exactly what they're doing, but the higher levels up in the organization are the ones that know what is going on. Alright, the next plate in this series, we begin with Hitler. Hitler was a Roman Catholic, and let's look at what Catholicism did and that organization did with Hitler. A concordats with Germany. Here's Hitler and his Catholic counterpart. They gave Hitler power, worked with Hitler. They fund both sides of the opposition in war. They give people power and let them wreak havoc. Now also, we're going to see that this salute is in actuality the Roman salute. So he was a devout Catholic, but he was also a Thule Society member, secret society member, and so outwardly Roman Catholic, inwardly secret society. There's that Roman salute. We see also the current Pope, Pope Benedict, as being a Nazi youth. Here's a German paper describing that. He looks like the Vatican has a similar Roman salute with both hands. Now sometimes on the internet they actually cut his, they crop this image to make it look like a single arm salute, but this is actually the full image showing the two-arm salute. Nazi Germany and their alliance with Islam. And you can see the Fez here and him doing the Nazi salute. and therefore this alliance was so powerful that you can see that even the terrorist organizations, Hezbollah, and their military and their raising of their children in this militant Nazi salute style. We'll see more of that. Here's Hamas, Fatah. The leaders are the ones that are responsible for all of this. And I'm telling you, these leaders, I've come to believe, are in the hands of Rome already. You'll see that later in the religious section. They are the opposition. The mode of operation is be the opposition, join the opposition, and always run this dialectic on humanity of always having the enemy. And they have certainly created this enemy. The Nazi connection to Islamic terrorism. I can see Himmler as our Ignatius of Loyola. Adolf Hitler said this, and here is Heinrich Himmler, the head of the SS, and you can see the SS and the skull and bones, the order of death. Heinrich Himmler was also a devout Catholic. And you can see Germany was at it even prior to World War II. This is the Second Reich, and these are leaders of the Second Reich. Here's the Maltese cross that he's wearing, which is a papal knighthood, and again the Maltese cross there. Now moving on with Ignatius of Loyola, which is the Jesuit general, and the fascination with these skulls and whether or not this is a saint that they are adorning here. The skull of a saint. Why in the world would you want a skull next to you and put a crown on that skull? Perhaps it's necromancy and the worship of the dead. This is something that I cannot understand. So here is a sculpture of Loyola with a skull. This is the second Jesuit general. I forget his name. Bohr, starts with a B, but there's the skull. Now you can see here in Freemasonry, they actually kiss the skull in Freemasonry. So here's a Freemason with the skull. The Skull and Bone Society say that they have Geronimo's skull in their lodge. We'll get to that second. Here's another secret society and the use of skulls. Skulls and bones are normally referred to poison and pirates, and they always like to have some negative connotation to it. The number 13, pyramids and bondage, biblically. Skull and Bones Society at Yale University. Here's the Father Bush. All three of the Bushes were members. Here's Father Bush, Grandfather Bush, and George W. Bush. In 2008, the election, I believe, 2004, the election was against two Skull and Bones members, John Kerry and George W. Bush. How in the world do you get two Skull and Bones members running for office of the President of the United States unless things are rigged on both sides? These are blood oaths that they take. The rituals you can find that were on the news are sick. Why would anybody in their right mind go through rituals like that? You think it's all fun and games and just fairy tales and jokes? I'm telling you, there are spiritual forces behind these things, and that's why they do it, for power and money and greed, and ultimately for being with Satan that gives them that and their spirits. This is the guy that actually asked the question, how can two Skull and Bones members be running for office in the same time? He got tased, and they couldn't even, and they didn't even answer his question. John Kerry didn't answer his question, and they ran him out. That's the kind of society that we live in when you are a conspiracy quote guy. And I'm not talking about Comet Elenin coming and destroying the world, but I'm talking about things like things that we can tangibly understand, with Skull and Bones members being going for the president. Skulls movie, and you see war is mentioned here. They love war. You can see here now there are 4 Skull and Bones members here, the cult, shown present at the signing of the USA's National Security Act, which created the CIA. And so you can see these secret societies being involved. The Knights of Malta are heavily involved, and all of these secret societies are connected in one way or another. And so here's a Father Bush and Son Bush. I can't even believe that we even have the idea of having a son related and being president. Usually when you go and are hired for a company, they ask you the question of whether or not you have any siblings or any relatives that are in the company so that you can alleviate any bias toward being hired for that company simply because you have family members in that company. Here we have presidents that are family members. Don't you think that that is odd? Here is Grandfather Bush now shaping his proteges up and his cronies up, and that's Nixon there. Look at this, recruited by MI5, Mussolini recruited by intelligence, and Mussolini is supposed to be the opposition. They run both sides of the coin. Now look at this Freemasonic apron. Here's the front side and the back side. And by the way, why Freemasons actually wear an apron is they believe it is representing the covering for sin back in Genesis. Why in the world would you be covering your sin with a skull and bones in this manner? This is all abomination type stuff. Here's skull and bones on rings, skull and bones, and the fascination with skull and bones. Here's Rihanna, and this is why I truly believe, I've come to believe and understand that these actors and these musicians like this are simply mind controlled, and they are bloodlines. It's their family and their children. They do wicked things even to their children, grow them up in satanic ritual abuse, and this is why they can do such sick things as they do. And that beating up of Rihanna by supposedly her boyfriend Chris Brown is an example of her getting out of line and having this abuse done to her. Control minds, you can see a downward cross, upside down cross. Control minds, we'll get into that in the second part, but just bear with me and understand that I've come to believe that. Here's Skull and Bones with Johnny Depp. All of your fraternities are Masonic and have their roots in secret societies and Freemasonry. I have a friend I went to high school with, was in a fraternity. He had his initiation at a Masonic lodge, and this is not uncommon at all. And you can see skull and bones everywhere. All of the symbols of Freemasonry and all of this symbology riddled into fraternities and sororities. Royal arches, stars, you can see the similarity between fraternities and Freemasonry. This is the final plate in part 1, and we'll begin with understanding this Order of the Knights of Malta, Order of the Knights Templar, a little bit, but with just some images. Here's the Swiss flag, here is the Red Cross, and they like these charitable organizations to make them look good. The Knights Templar, and that Templar cross, they were known for stamping on the cross, and this was a ritual they did to denounce Christ and what he did for you. And so that's a depiction of that. Novice Knights Templar initiate trampling the cross of Christ. Gnosticism, and you can see this red Knights Maltese cross. This is the creation of modern Freemasonry from Gnosticism. And the Jesuits did this. The Jesuits were into Gnosticism, and it simply transformed into modern Freemasonry. Freemasonry were masons and builders, yes, and they built cathedrals and were all the way going back. Architects and craftsmen were revered, and so they had exclusive clubs this way. And speculative Freemasonry is the intellectual side of Freemasonry, which religiousized it. All of our culture has been infused with religion for a very long time. So anyway, Gnostic Templars, and you can understand where Gnosticism is in the second part. He does a hand sign that is common in the priesthoods and Freemasonry as well. So you see this. Now also moving on with the double cross, You can see not only do they have a triple cross, but they have a double cross. That is where I believe we get the term double crossing, which is to backstab someone or lie that way deceptively. You see the Knights Templar cross and crown, skull and bones, and you see the emblems with this double cross. Knights of Columbus as well in this. The Templars, like all other secret orders and associations, had two doctrines. One concealed and reserved for the masters, which was Johanngism, which is Gnosticism, and the other public, which was the Roman Catholic, meaning that they looked and act like Roman Catholics when on the inside they were Gnostics and secret society members. And you see here a Nazi member with his double cross. Moving on to Knights Templar, and you can see on the website the use of the double cross and of course the triple cross on the bottom. This is the Iron Cross, and that Iron Cross has roots with Templars, whether it's red or white or black. Hitler wore this Iron Cross. But moving on with the double cross, again, Knights Templar and the double cross. They also have that triple cross. Here is a famous Satanist, not as well known, but nonetheless Satanist, and use of that double cross and this infinity symbol, meaning they are wanting that their religion to be for eternity. So here's Marilyn Manson, a great example because he uses this double cross as well. Has the ring, that is the double cross, and also this is now the movie, oh gosh, what is that? V for Vendetta. And so you see that double cross being used. You see the double cross in logos, Exxon, Oreo, Nabisco, and of course great causes of going against tuberculosis. They like to make themselves look great. So here's Hitler, and you see now the Maltese cross being used. You see Nazis here. Here's the Iron Cross, Hitler's Iron Cross, and here the Maltese Cross on this side, and the Iron Cross as well. So all of these papal knighthoods. This is not British knighthoods. It's all Roman colonial system knighthoods. Now let's look at the Knights of Malta, and this is just a depiction of the Jesuits and Kolbenbach, the former Black Pope, and this person has shown that they are really involved in death and infiltration and all of that bad stuff. War, really. That's why they're called Jesuit generals. Order of the Knights of Malta, looking at that. This is one of the, I believe this is a Rothschild, and you see his red Maltese cross. And I don't know who these are. I believe there was a Maltese cross here. I don't know why I put these plates in. But moving along, Sovereign Grand Lodge of Malta, ancient, free, and accepted Masons. And then we have the Maltese cross. Order of Malta, now in Nazi Germany. They had their own version complete with swastika in the center. And you can see that being worn prominently on the collar. Prince Charles Edwards, a German duke, and you can see he's a Knight of Malta. Continuing on with Knights of Malta, I believe that's a Maltese cross. I did this, this was interesting is because there was a Maltese style crucifix. And I believe this is a Habsburg, I'm not sure, but that is a royal a papal bloodline. And so looking at Mussolini, Franco, all now allegiance toward Rome, you can see that. And here's the Queen, her Knight of Malta, Queen Beatrice, and this, I'm sorry, yeah, Princess Beatrice. This is Prince Bernard or Barnhard, and he is the founder of the Bilderberg Group, and that is well known to be a secret society or elite members that meet and decide world events and where the direction of the world is, and her receiving her knighthood, and so she's all in the family. Here he is with all of his Knights of Malta crosses and cape, and there you are, elite or ever elusive, and so there she is. She is actually the owner of Shell Oil. They own everything. And it is not an understatement to say that. Who formed the CIA? Wild Bill Donovan. He's a Knight of Malta. And the FBI, Knight of Malta. Charles Bonaparte. This is General. I don't know if it's Westmoreland or not. I don't think it's that. This is key right here. Moving on to General Boykin. He is the general that was involved with PSYOPs and that movie Black Hawk Down. He goes around with an evangelical organization, Calvary Chapel Church, but in fact he is a Knight of Malta, and this is his ceremony. And so you have now Catholics, infiltrators, Knights of Malta infiltrating other churches and bringing all churches back to Rome. And it was actually asked of him why he did this, because he's an evangelical, and he said that he was actually infiltrating the Catholic Church. Now, come on. Knights of Malta are involved in CIA, therefore it's logical to understand that he is PSYOPs and therefore involved with intelligence. And he is simply that's the opposite of what he's doing, is infiltrating the evangelical church, because if you understand Vatican II, it's all about bringing the ecumenical movement in, and bringing infiltration and bringing all churches back to Rome. It's understood completely that way. This is his good friend and Pentecostal Protestant preacher, and if you understand his ministry and see his ministry, it's downright demonic. People rolling around, acting crazy, drum beating, and it's all demonic possession. And it's completely unbelievable that we would even allow this type of person. He's a general. He speaks of dominionism. He goes around to the churches and is a warmonger to tell you everybody's just out to get us. Yes, they have radicalized Islam to the point that now the West has to defend this. So yes, they are fueling both sides of war. And as a true Christian, I am not about war. I am about peace, and we should have our feet shod about with the gospel of peace, according to what Ephesians says, and the Apostle Paul. So this alliance, he actually funds, not funds, but he disseminates all of General Boykin's religious material through his ministry called Morning Star. Interesting that they choose that name, because there are similarities and counterfeits going on in the Bible with regard to that particular name. Okay, South African leader, Haile Selassie of Ethiopia. And talk about selling your people out. That whole continent has been raped by the colonial system. He is also wearing this 5-pointed Maltese cross, and you saw that on Napoleon, and it seems to be some kind of Order of the Phoenix. Look at the decoration that he has. This is Puff Daddy or Sean Combs, and I believe that looks like a Maltese cross. Anyway, they adorn themselves that way. We understand here that is definitely a Maltese cross, and this is that Miley Cyrus. This is a joke here. It has to be. And all he's done, really, he was a Satanist. Now he turned Knight of Malta. All he did was really change uniforms. So his secret doctrine is Satanism, and his outward doctrine now was the Knight of Malta. And it really is simply changing uniforms, because they are both one and the same. And of course, there's that sign of the benediction, which has come to be known as the peace sign.